We saw some significant movement in this week's AP Top 10. Florida and Notre Dame, they both elevated 2 spots. Miami, Coach, you're going to talk about them in a moment. They're up 4 to number 8. Texas, they dropped down to 9. And the Big Ten was reintroduced this week. Penn State at number 10. Ohio State at number 6. They got 4 first-place votes. Now, Georgia, they stayed at number 4 after really an uninspiring first half at Arkansas. I know they turned things around in the second half. They host number 7 Auburn today, and the conversation right now is going to be about which playoff contender has the biggest question mark next to it. You chose the Bulldogs.
I chose the Bulldogs because of their quarterback situation. I know we're going to hear from Bruce Feldman in a couple minutes on the latest from that. But if you go back to Georgia and what they've had the last couple of years, they had stability with Jake Fromm and probably underappreciated there. But he won 35 games as a starter, went to a national championship game. And then you fast forward to this offseason, this season. Jamie Newman comes in as a transfer, promising young talent. JT Daniels, former high school player of the year, transfers from USC. Well, those guys aren't playing. JT Daniels did get clear. We'll see if he plays this year or today. And then Stetson Bennett comes in and initially is the 4th-string quarterback coming into the season. Played pretty well last week, but is he a guy, Brady, that can navigate through this schedule, get Georgia to a playoff? I think it's a big concern for me moving forward.
It's a big question to try to answer, and I think then when you factor in they've got 3 of 5 new starters on the offensive line, that might be tough to overcome. And I think the thing that I have the biggest question mark about in regards to Georgia is we always talk about teams who play to their identity. Their identity has been good defense and really running the football and taking care of the football with Jake Fromm. And if you look at the trend over the past 3-4 years, that number's been coming down for their rushing yards per game. They were averaging over the last 3 years about 230 yards per game. This past week, we saw them on 120 yards on the ground. And so clearly that could be an issue for them, too. If they can't run the football, if their defense isn't quite as good, and if they got issues at the quarterback spot, those are some big problems, Reg.
Yeah, and like you said, man, Georgia's always been a really good running team. But I want to go to Texas because I believe Texas is one of those teams that I have a lot of question marks about, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Coach, I want to read a couple stats. 56 points, 441 yards, and they gave up 19 missed tackles versus Texas Tech. The only thing Texas Tech didn't do was get the W. Other than that, that's a great day for that offense. And, Coach, when we talk about championship teams have to tackle. That's what they do well. And, Coach, you had some great teams, some great defenses. You know how tough it is to win games with that kind of missed tackles. With that many missed tackles, and again, 19 missed tackles for Texas is just not getting it done. How difficult is it in your experience for teams to get that W when they miss that many tackles?
Well, other than turnovers, we found out in a 7-year study, missed tackles, double-digit missed tackles, you're going to lose that game. Yeah. We were undefeated for 7 years at Ohio State with single-digit missed tackles. I still have confidence that Chris Ash. I know it didn't look good last week. I actually talked to him this week. They're getting better. They will get better. I just have confidence. For me, it's the U. I think the U, there was a time, Brady, that if you beat Florida State like that, and if you beat Louisville, you're not only top 10, you're top 5, maybe top 1. Right. Not this year. Florida State's not a good team. Louisville's still growing. So we shall find out in about 2 weeks or next week when they play Clemson. If the U is back. Don't say they're back yet. They're much improved, but those wins aren't the same wins it was 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I can't wait for next week. And obviously Miami has a bye this week, so a couple weeks to prepare for that matchup. My concern for Miami is more how they handle either the success after that game or if they falter, because I think neither of those things they've handled well over the past few years. Let's go back to 2017. They beat Notre Dame. I know, my Fighting Irish. They laid an egg down there in South Florida, and then they went and beat Virginia the next week. The problem is those last 3 weeks going into the bowl game, too, in the Orange Bowl, they dropped all those. They got to number 2 in the country. They didn't handle the success very well. They were more interested in the turnover chain and everything else that came with it. So I think regardless of the outcome of that game, win or lose, how do they handle it? How do they rebound from a loss, or how do they handle the success when they do start inching up towards that top 5? Because I think if they beat Clemson, I think we'd all agree this is going to be a top 5 football team.
100% if they beat Clemson.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.